So we're here with Renee of Devour Barcelona Food Tours. So tell us a little bit about the company and how you got involved.
Okay, well, it's actually a new company. We just launched our tours in September, at the beginning of September, but its parent company, Madrid Food Tours, has been going on for about a little over 2 years now. Lauren is the founder. She's from New Jersey. She partnered up with her husband, Alejandro, from Cadiz, and they also work with James from New Zealand. So the three of them are kind of the creative / business / marketing teams. They have 3 different routes in Madrid, and they kind of decided they felt like expanding and, you know, coming up to Barcelona and trying a food tour here. And they chose Gracia as, you know, the place to do it because it is a much more Catalan, authentic neighborhood than maybe the very cosmopolitan center of Barcelona.
I mean, there are obviously pricier Cavas.
And you can just drink it in any situation.
Yeah,
I mean,
any situation.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no. It's really nice in any type of bar. Like really, like any bar you would never expect to have Cava or, you know, sparkling wine, we'll have it by the glass.
Yeah, Cava doesn't have a class association to it, you know, so it's
that's what
it's
I love
celebrated
about
by
it.
all classes here.
Every man's drinking.
Buenos días, Pedro. This is Pedro, the owner. ¿Cómo estás? Bien? Vale. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a list of our route today. If you want it to be a surprise, just don't look. I know a lot of people prefer the whole thing to be a surprise. I'm, you know, really impatient and very curious, so I'm already looking at the last stop before we even get started. But yeah, that's on the first page. On the second page, we have our Devouring Barcelona guide. It has other restaurant recommendations here in Gracia and on the back throughout Barcelona, you know, by the neighborhood.
It is known for its, you know, great food, restaurant scene, bodegas, lots to choose from. So
An ideal location for walking. There's no major intersections to deal with.
exactly. I mean, it's definitely a lively neighborhood, but a neighborhood that is still very, like you said, contained, easy to walk, easy to see a lot of in a short period of time.
Americans, we've given up a lot in the state of They opened the door.
Yeah. Actually, funnily enough, saw the job post on Facebook, on their Facebook page. I follow a lot of different expat forums on Facebook and other websites, and I had kind of been, for a long time, thinking about what I was doing with my life, because I was doing these really not that great English teaching jobs. I like teaching, but it was hard not having my Spanish degree, you know, validated, and I just wasn't really sure what I wanted to be doing.
Okay. And while you guys are looking at that, I'm going to kind of get on with the explanation. So really, the best way to think about extra virgin olive oil is think of it like freshly squeezed olive juice. So like freshly squeezed orange juice, it doesn't like oxygen. The longer it's open, the faster it will go bad. And, you know, if you make orange juice with bad oranges or rotten oranges, it won't taste very good. Same thing goes for olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil basically means it's the juice of the best olives.
First press.
Yeah, the first press. That's one thing you will see though, if you see that it's cold pressed. We don't necessarily, you'll see in these photos, they don't necessarily press the olives anymore. It's kind of maybe a little bit of a marketing term.
Massage.
Yeah, exactly, no. They use all sorts of marketing terms, we'll get to that later, but they actually nowadays use a centrifuge system that separates the pulp from the juice.
Put it on your pasta, your cuticles, your hair. You know, it's the kind of olive oil that will sings to you and to food. Wow. I really don't know right now if I want to like moisturize with this or put it on the pasta, but I think any way I find a way to use this, I'm going to enjoy it.
And then I saw this and I was like, wow, that sounds like my dream job. A little bit of writing, you know, food was huge. That was number one. History, talking about a lot of the history of Barcelona and Spain. That's something I've always been interested in. That's one of the main reasons I came, was just the interest in the country. La Plaça de la Brelocha. That means the clock square, after this clock tower. This is the first of 3 squares we'll walk through today in Gracia. Actually, Gracia is one of the neighborhoods in Barcelona with the most amount of squares. That's because if you look on a map, you'll realize that the village itself has absolutely no green space. There are no parks. But there are lots and lots and lots of squares. And in the morning, well, it's a Saturday, but usually it's quite calm here. In the afternoon, though, after school, for example, all the kids congregate here. It's like a war zone of footballs flying through the air. It's really lively. And this square in particular actually has a lot of history. Back in 1870, this was the site of bombing of the village of Gracia. That was the year that the Spanish government decided to enlist young men in its army to defend its crumbling empire. Well, the mothers of Gracia would not have it. They basically whipped up a revolt in a matter of days and said, our sons are not going off to war. And in response, the Spanish army bombed the village of Gracia and used this clock tower as a target. Yeah, which was a shame because it had just been built 3 years prior to that. Just basically showing people about the city I live in. So when I saw the job posting, I obviously jumped on it and I stopped Lauren via email, sending her different links, like, here's my Instagram, read this blog post I wrote, please hire me. And in the end I got it and I couldn't believe it.
And you were already in Barcelona, or are you in Madrid?
So they were looking for someone who lived here, had been living here for at least 2 years, who knew about the city.
The lay of the land.
Yeah, they wanted someone else who spoke the language, I mean not only Spanish, but a little bit of Catalan, even though I don't use it that often with the vendors. People appreciate this, you know, I also understand it, and reading it is really useful here.
Sometimes a please and a welcome and a hello in the native tongue goes a long way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you definitely don't have to speak it to live here. I mean, I know people who don't even speak Spanish and they live here, so, and you're learning Spanish too, so, and you'll get it soon, but...
Yeah. But I'm a biased when it comes to Spanish wine. Spanish wine, not a big Spanish wine, I drink Catalan wine.
But yeah, like you said, it goes a long way. Just a good morning.
Yes, a recognition of the local language.
Right.
So tell us about your, I guess, experience or your growing appreciation for food and I guess the gastronomy. Is this something that you came from, or is it something that developed kind of once you moved to Spain?
Definitely developed once I moved to Spain. I've always been a big eater. I mean, my mom jokes all the time about how much I ate as a kid and still remained so skinny that people were worried that she wasn't feeding me. But yeah, big metabolism, just big appetite.
Former Coney Island hot dog eating champion, actually. I'm joking.
No. No, I do love hot dogs though, especially at a basic meal.
Because you only do them in the can. And,
in the past, wealthy families from Barcelona would come here to retire, to summer, and he built a palace for him and his wife in this very square. Luckily for her, he didn't last long. He died about 3 years later, and she basically spent the rest of her also short life, about 10 years, spending away his life fortune as kind of a vengeance. She was very generous with his money, giving it to the poor, the neighbors, the neighborhood of Gracia. So when she passed away, they decided to tear down the palace, start building this church, and they made this square, named it after her, Plaza de la Virreina. Also erected a statue of the biblical character of Ruth, who was known for her white...
Exotic cheese.
He's gonna quiz you about the cheese.
Oh, okay.
I think.
It might... Well, you know, there's got to be something there that comes from La Mancha.
Other than the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. I think my mother played the musical on the stereo when I was growing up. The Broadway version, not the
Well, this
literary.
is pretty much all I know about La Mancha.
No, but really, I mean, I went to a college where they forced us to live in the dorms. We didn't have kitchens. I loved eating, but I didn't know anything about cooking. I really didn't know that much about it in general. Also, on a student's budget, I couldn't really treat myself to nice dinners or exploring too much of the restaurant scene where I was living. But once I came to Spain, I realized a lot of people cooked at home, and
It really isn't a problem here, but you know, I think back home, yeah, it's kind of a, you know, it's kind of like homosexual. The Hawaiian community is something for an upper class, and it's not true.
this is exactly what we were talking about this morning with Cava too. It's something that what I talked about on your website too. It's like that's what I love about the drinking culture here too. It's like a beer or a Cava. There's no, or a glass of Cava.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
What you order doesn't define you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This tour tastes like more.
Your brothers, they all think I'm crazy. I think it's nothing at all. Today I'm